With this photograph, we will discover how we can effectively add film grain to our photographs by using filters and blending modes and masks. Well, this particular image is a self-portrait, and I created this simply by setting my camera up on the kitchen table. I then walked around in front of the camera, and the camera was on self-timer so that it captured this image. And I like this image because I'm holding my grandfather's camera. And what I want to do with this image is I want to add some film grain just to change the overall look and feel of this file. Well, in order to do that, let's first copy that background layer by pressing Command or Control J. Next step, we'll go ahead and name this layer Grain. From here, we're going to navigate to our Filter pull-down menu and then go to Noise. And here we'll choose Add Noise. I should also point out there are a few different filters you can use to add film grain. This is one of them, which works quite well. Alright, well that will open up our Add Noise dialog. What we want to do is make sure we're adding Gaussian noise and also that we have monochromatic checked on. Well, how much noise do we actually want to add? Well, that's an interesting question. What we want to do is have noise here that's just perhaps a little bit too high, but not so high that it's completely fading out the image. Well, here at this juncture, I think this amount right in here, about 7%, will do. Now, of course, how far you go with this is contingent upon what type of aesthetic, what type of look you're interested in accomplishing. If we click OK here, we can evaluate how we've done. Here's our before and then after. Well, there's a distinct problem with this film grain. And the problem is that it's being applied to the entire image, just straight across the board. There isn't anything interesting about it. It's almost like it's sitting on top of the image rather than being embedded into the overall tonal structure of the file. Well, in order to make this film grain appear even better, here's what we'll do. We're going to go ahead and turn off the visibility of this layer and just target that background layer. And what I want to do is load the luminance value of one of my channels. There are a couple of ways we can do this. One easy technique we can use is to navigate to our Channels panel and then to hold down Command on a Mac, Control on Windows, and then to click on a channel. Here you can see that it's already creating a selection. It's basically creating a selection out of that channel. Another way that we can do the same thing is we can actually stay over here in the Layers panel and press a shortcut to load the luminance of one of our channels. Let's say we want to load the luminance of the red channel. On a Mac, press Command Option 3. On Windows, press Control Alt 3. Alright, well, whatever your preference, let's go ahead and load the luminance value of that red channel. Next, we're going to click on the grain layer and we'll target that layer. Now from here, all that we need to do is to click on the Add Layer Mask icon. Now once we do that, we have something interesting that's happened. Let's zoom in a little bit. What we can see now is that the film grain isn't uniform. Let me show you what I mean. If we shift-click the mask, take a look. Here's that before, and now here's the after. It's limiting the grain in certain areas. And sometimes when you're working with channels, it's fun to invert your mask and see what the results look like. See what the opposite appears like. In this case, it doesn't look, I think, as good. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this option. Well, next what we can do is go into our mask panel. And then we can control the overall density here, bringing back a little bit more grain here on the darker tones. Because this channel mask, based on the luminance value of the red channel, is then allowing this through in different areas. Again, let's shift-click that mask. Here we have that before and then after. Really nice film grain look. Well, how else could we blend this into our background layer? Well, another technique that we can use is we can duplicate this layer. We can do so by clicking and dragging that to the new layer icon, and then we can take this blending mode to soft light. And what soft light does for us is if we turn off this other layer here, you can see now that before and then after. It's bringing the grain in, but it's bringing it in based on contrast and on brightness value. And this can be a great way to add just that little subtle extra effect. Now, of course, here we can target that mask. We can modify the density if we want more of that in or if we want less of that. You can see how it's affecting those darker tones more or less. We can also lower the opacity. Sometimes I find having one layer on soft light and then one layer on normal here together can come up with some really good results. When we have two layers together though, you may need to modify the density of your mask a little bit there and also the overall opacity of that layer so that you can blend these two layers together in order to give you a really nice mix. Let's evaluate. Well, here it is, our overall before and then now our after. A much more believable and much more interesting film grain aesthetic.